morning, dear hearts. We are on lesson 116 in our review, and please subscribe. So we have 2 lessons to practice today. One for 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes sometime thereafter, suggested before we go to sleep, but you know, it's up to you. But it is necessary that we do take this time and really delve into these lessons, because we want to form new neural pathways in our mind. This is a reversal of our thinking. This is a new thought system, and the way we have this to be achievable is by practicing. We're changing out old thoughts for new ones, and in order to do that, we have to practice. Then our practicing of the thoughts will become our belief. A belief is only a thought that we have thought over and over again, and then finds its way into our mind, and it becomes our belief. We want these to be our new beliefs. The first lesson that we are practicing today is God's will for me is perfect happiness. Now, isn't that a wonderful new belief to have? To believe that God truly, all He wants for me, His will, His desire, is perfect happiness for His children. It tells us God's will is perfect happiness for me. And I can suffer, I can only experience pain and doubt and fear and grief, but from the belief that there is another will apart from His. If I think, and this is how the ego mind works, the ego mind tries to get us to think that there is something other than the all that is, other than the allness, the complete totality of God. The ego wants us to believe there is something else. And that's something else, well, yeah, that might have happiness for you also. But what I will find, if I follow those ego thoughts, the ego pathway, I will find it's going to be a dead end. That is never going to bring me happiness. That is my Father's will for me. I will not have perfect happiness except when I follow and I allow my will to be one with my Father's. This idea of having happiness given to us and as a new experience, let's call it that, came from the first time in lesson 28, that above all else I want to see things differently. Because in that lesson, it guided us and said, they were using a table for an example, that, if we could just see that table completely with an open mind, with no preconceived ideas of our own, and look upon it differently with that open mind, we would find out it has something to show us, and this thing is beautiful and clean and of infinite value, full of happiness and hope, because we would be seeing it from a totally different point of view, not for how it is used and how it is limited, but how it too can be limitless and be a tool that will lead us to greater happiness, to God's happiness, to perfect happiness, when we choose to see everything differently. The second lesson that we are practicing today is I share God's will for happiness for me. Yes, of course I do. Now, I very often am switching around and using happiness in place of salvation. Today we're going to do it the other way. I share God's will for salvation for me. God's will for us is salvation, our happiness, our freedom. And this idea came to us about the will of God came in lesson 19, when it told us that salvation is possible because it is God's will for us to be and have salvation, to be free of this ego world. That lesson was I'm not alone in experiencing the effects of my thoughts, and that salvation was possible because it's God's will. Happiness is possible because it's God's will. The comments for today, for this lesson, are I share my Father's will for me, His Son, His child. What He has given me is all I want. What He has given me is all there is. It is the allness, the totality of our Father, of God, of our source of creation. There is nothing else. What is all-encompassing can have no opposite. Our Father's will for us, for our happiness, our salvation, our freedom, has no opposite. So I practice these lessons besides the 5 minutes, or in the hour and the half hour, simply to repeat them, for me to really come to understand that it's not that I want to be happy, it's that God wants all of us to be happy, all of his children, the entire sonship. He wills, he desires happiness for all of us, that only in the experience of happiness will we come to have the experience and the knowing of who we are and the source that created us. We only can know our true self through our happiness, through our freedom, through salvation, through God's will for us, for all of those things. So that's it for today. I hope it helped. Please like, please share, please subscribe, please comment. Please pray for happiness for everyone. Lighten our minds, open our minds, and allow all of God's will for happiness, perfect happiness for all of us, to just rain down so it may be ours and shared. Namaste.